Hi everyone, my name's Britton Klein, Ad Sales Manager, and welcome to this week's edition of Level Up from Behind the Counter by Scuba Diving Industry Magazine.
Hi, I'm William Klein, and if you're a dive retailer out there and you'd like to share your inspirations with other retailers, reach out to Britton and I. We'd love to have you on the
That's
show.
right.
So, Britton, who do we have with us today?
Yes, so today we have Valerie Elliott, owner of Y-Kiki Divers in St. Louis. Valerie, welcome to the show.
Thank you guys very much for having me today. It's welcome to be here.
Thank you, Valerie, for being with us. Britton, Valerie works with our very good friend Rich Thomas over International Scuba at that
That's
Ice
right.
Hole Festival.
That's
So
right.
it's kind of a small world in retailing. So
Absolutely,
I
but
can't
so
wait to
cool.
jump in today's show.
Absolutely. It's going to be a good one. But to dive right in, could you tell us a little bit about your journey to get to where you're currently at, where you're located, and maybe a little bit about the size of your operation as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So my husband and I got certified in 1999. We figured if the world was going to end, we might as well be
Y,
somewhere tropical.
Y2K, right?
That's
How
right.
funny. Yeah.
Right.
And we went there. We went to Belize and we scuba dived with a bunch of friends. And needless to say, we got into it more than they did.
Wow.
So we came back. We actually started a dive shop from scratch, and we bought Waikiki as a second location. The business partnership fell along the wayside, but I bought into the company as my own in 2006. So Y-Kiki Divers had been around since 1989, well before my time. They'd run the YMCA scuba program in the area, and so when I bought it, we were a Patty store, so I switched us over to Patty, and we outgrew that space in 2019. I bought this particular location. We did the build out, and we opened our doors January 3rd, I think it was, of 2020.
Wow.
Perfect timing, right?
Oh my goodness, I got terrible timing. So I basically I doubled my square footage, doubled my expenses, and then COVID hit 3 months later. But we made it, we survived, and it is the store that I always dreamed of having. It's about it's just short of 4,000 square feet.
Wow.
I've got 1,500 square feet of retail space, but plenty of room for classrooms. I got two nice big size classrooms, which also did come in handy during COVID. Plenty of room for all of our rental equipment and that sort of thing. So again, I'm very proud of the location. It was a labor of love, and it really does represent who I am and what I want to bring as a retailer to the equation. So.
Well, we're watching a video as you're talking, and it's a walkthrough of your shop,
Stunning.
and it's really quite amazing. You've got lots of big spaces for visual displays.
Clear you had a vision.
You had a vision clearly behind it. I think we're now looking at your back of office, your rental department, which looks incredibly organized too. But well done on the display. I notice you have a lot of the big major brands that you're selling, that you have their logos up there on the
Lots of
top of the shop.
variety as
So
well.
that's very, 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 very well done.
Mhm.
So, I'm going to jump into, thanks for telling us a little about the history and about the operation. There's always a journey for people to get where they are, and it's nice to hear a little about your journey. What few things do you believe that you do really well there? If I could ask you to choose maybe three at Waikiki Divers.
Yeah, actually, I appreciated the opportunity because sometimes it is hard to focus, or to reflect on what we're doing well. So from my perspective, I think we've provided a really welcoming retail space. So it is bright and clean. I invested in LED lighting throughout the entire store, so it's nice and bright. We're very well stocked with our equipment, so hopefully we don't have to do very many special orders. When people come in, we're able to size them and get them in gear right away. I work really hard. My staff works really hard to make sure that the store is nice and clean, and older stock. We move past the older stock. Make sure we've got the latest and greatest out on the sales floor. So I do feel like we provide a welcoming retail space. The second thing I feel like we do pretty well with is creating community. So we have local diving adventures. We call it local diving adventures, where we go to a different dive site every single month, or we have an event of some sort. So like a pool program or something like that. I pay my teaching staff, I pay all their expenses to go. But again, just trying to develop community and opportunity to go not just to Mermet Springs, which is the first in class training facility that we use, but also some of the other destinations here in the Midwest that they might not otherwise have an opportunity to check out. So Table Rock Lake or Bull Shoals Lake, kind of a thing. So Hague Quarry, some of these other entities that we can go to. I've got a very healthy international travel program that I've built up over the years. And we've got trips booked out through 2029 already.
Wow.
We host pre-trip parties. And so I bring everybody in, we hand out rash guards specific to that trip. We do introductions, and I talk about all the gory details of each dive vacation, all the logistical details, hand out travel tickets, that sort of thing. So it gives everybody a chance by the time, we go to the airport. And one thing I do well at too, or I do differently than others, is I do a lot of group airfare. So, which is a pain in the neck and doesn't provide me with any revenue at all. It just gets us all on the same flights. But as a result, when we go to the airport, the trip starts then, right? So
Cool.
we do a lot of travel that way. And then on the way back, we do picture parties. So I gather up everybody's pictures and videos, and I put together a video of each trip as a souvenir. With music and everything that we push up to the YouTube channel that people can share with their friends and family. It's like the new scrapbook, if you will. So we have those also. So I feel like we've created community and I also have a speaker series that I do monthly. And the other thing that I think we do well is we actually are able to go out into our community. I think I shared with you guys that I'm not smart enough to own my own pool. It just is a lot of work. So we actually rent pool space. During COVID, I lost all access to all my public pools. So now I'm using a private boarding school pool. It's Principia School Pool, and I have great access. I have every single weekend, every Saturday and Sunday. So we have access to a giant high school pool. And so we have vans that we use because we don't have our own pool. So we're able to go out into the community. We do it with local like recreational facilities. We do like summer camps and try-it programs. We offer scuba programming at the rec plexes and that sort of thing. So being active in the community, all things scouting, Boy Scout merit badges and scuba awards, and then summer camps, doing the SEAL team programs. I think we were talking about that earlier. SEAL team programming is big for us. So yeah, I think those are probably the three things that we're doing really well at.
That's amazing.
That's really, truly
And it's
remarkable.
it's an awesome segue as well, and kind of into my next question. Your travel program is incredible. 14 trips in 2026. Could you share with us and the other retailers about your Aloha Socials concept and maybe how it helps to sell travel?
Yeah, I think
as
that's
well?
what you were mentioning before.
Mhm.
I did. I alluded to it, but I do think it's a winning combination. So before a trip, like 2 weeks before a trip, I host a social gathering. So I ask everybody to bring an appetizer, a dessert, and their favorite beverage. So alcoholic beverages are certainly welcome. And then I make introductions. So we go around the room. We make sure everybody get introduced. I hand out those snazzy rash guards that I get from Sea Fear. They make me, I make a specific rash guard for each trip as a souvenir. And then I also make sure that I make enough for the dive guides. So we hand out rash guards to the dive crew, of course. But at those socials, it gets everybody in the mood, right? We all get to learn who everybody is, where everybody's at, dive wise. And then I go over all the logistics. So one of the things I do differently is I do include group air for most trips. And so we're all arriving at the airport together. We now know each other, and the trip starts off on the right foot. So it's a social as a social gathering. And then on the return, the social is, talking about what a great trip we had. So we talk about the pictures, the videos, and I always, it's a labor of love. I put like 8 hours, 10 hours into videos, putting them together, and then pushing them up to the YouTube channel and sharing those with everybody as a kind of as a souvenir and a thank you for joining us on a trip.
Such a
So
cool concept.
fascinating. So years ago, many years ago, I was down in Bon Air doing some work with the government there, and I happened to be at Captain Dunn's for dinner one night, and there was a giant group that took over the entire facility there from, I believe, it was a dive shop in Nashville, Scuba Shack. I could be wrong, but I believe it was Nashville. Because Brooke Speedy, which has been one of our guests on the show and also a writer, I think actually worked for him at the time
That's
in
right.
the shop. But so I started talking to the owner, and I slipped my mind who it was because probably not even the same guy anymore. But I said, "Hey, this is a big group." He says, "Yeah, well, this is just one of 6." I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "Oh, we book 4 or 5 weeks back to back, the entire resort, and we bring about 350 divers down." I said, "How in the world do you sell 300 to 350 divers?" He says, "Well, we start as soon as we get on the plane on the way home." He says, and we start every single month. He says, we sell it every single month. We have a pizza party. We do a film festival. Every event we do, we're selling our travel all the time. Even though people just got off it, we want to get them right back on it. So, I mean, there are some great retailers doing some great things. And it sounds like your Aloha Socials is really a kind of a brilliant concept of bringing everybody together and the camaraderie and all that, which is fabulous. So
Absolutely.
what 3 things are you planning to expand, change, or start in the near future?
Well, I think the things that we want to work on are we want to continue doing more year-round dive opportunities, local diving, right? So I really enjoyed talking with Rich and Janetta with International Scuba.
They're great
They
people,
created
yeah.
we own winter concept, and basically it's a contest to see how many people can get out there, and we're trying to keep people diving throughout the winter months. Here in Missouri, right, today we get weird Missouri weather. It's 60 degrees today, but last week it was in the 30s. So, but just opportunities to dive out of season, if you will, out of wetsuit season. So we've created some diving opportunities like Dive into the New Year, where we went to Mermet Springs. We got in the water at 11:45 p.m. and we dove into the New Year.
Oh, how cool.
And then we stuck around the next day to participate in Glenn Faith's polar plunge that he does every year. So great community, great camaraderie. And then we also are doing the Ice Hole Festival with International Scuba, along with Patty, Fourth Element, going up to Lake Okoboji in Iowa. It's a big trek for us, but we just have a great time. And I never would have thought in a million years that I would be spearheading those kinds of efforts. But it all started when I started, I partnered with my friend Faith Ortons. She owns Blue Green Expedition. Okay. And Faith is doing these amazing polar expeditions, and she got me hooked on Antarctica and the Arctic. And so I've been taking people on these ships, the Ortelius, down to Antarctica. And so you got to get ready for these trips. And it's you got to get dry suit certified. You got to practice in your dry suit. And it turns out it's just changed my world. I love the people that go on those expeditions, and it really has been fabulous, expanding into that world. And so I want to grow more of locally. I want to grow our community to dive on the quote unquote off season. I think there's room for that, and we just need to encourage each other. And once you're warm, once you're, you've got your thermal stuff squared away, the rest is easy. Yeah. So wow. I think doing that for sure, trying to expand that a little bit is one of them. The other thing that I want to work on is we started last year promoting our Master Scuba Diver Challenge. So in the PADI system, Master Scuba Diver is that highest rung recreationally. And I remember, back in the day when we had people for like 8 weeks in the YMCA scuba program, you'd have people over 8 weeks. You really had an opportunity to be more face-to-face than we are with our customers today. So now we're pushing people through with e-learning and a minimal amount of pool time. And, it's great because we're getting more people into our sport, creating more ambassadors to the underwater world. But it's my responsibility as a retailer to try to continue to push people through the system. I want to set the bar that at Y-Kiki Divers, our goal is to produce master scuba divers, somebody that's got a little bit more dives under their belt. And it's not going to happen right away, but we just have to set that goal a little bit higher. And that's who we are. That's what we want to do. We want to have master scuba divers that have done advanced open water, that have done some specialties, logged some dives under their belt, and rescue. Rescue is so important. So we really focused, put all of our efforts into it last year. We had a contest, and we had a winner. She won a Garmin MKI
Nice.
dive
Awesome.
computer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I want to continue with that theme into the new year. And then finally, old dogs, new tricks, all of this internet podcasting, real, that sort of thing, is not something I have to learn it. I have to create that for my company. So our goal is to work on our website. We have a kind of one of those stock websites. And so we want to improve on our website, our social media presence, try to learn, learn all of that. So again, old dog, new tricks, Instagram, Facebooking, that sort of thing. So those are my goals for next year, a little bit more, Master Scuba Diver Challenge, and then that internet stuff.
So if you go to our index on the digital version of our magazine, every single issue over the last year or so now has a master list of all of our articles. We update it every single month. And if you just search for the word podcast, just in your browser, and you're on the table, and you're on the index at the very end of the magazine, it's like usually page 56 or 57. Jeff Saransampino, which used to own Scuba Shack in Rocky Hill, Connecticut, sold his shop. But he was very, very avid and involved in podcasting for specifically his shop to his customers. So he wrote a how-to guide, and it's still great information. It was last year, I think he wrote it, and it's kind of like 101 podcasting for a dive shop, how to get started, what equipment to use, the software. So it's a really
Very worth the read.
Yeah, it's very worth the read. It's a couple of pages, but it's
check that out. Absolutely. Those are the kinds of things that I need to focus on. You got to learn it.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and you got to start somewhere. So,
Thanks for reading. Thanks for reading our magazine too. Keep in mind, just a little commercial. We've got a bulk sign up form on our website under subscribe now, that if you want to sign up all 65 of your staff and put all their email addresses in there, they'll automatically get the digital issue every single month for free, of course. So we have a bulk way of doing it. Makes it a little easier than anybody going and doing it one by one. So anyhow, thanks for being on here. Your inspirations are really unique. It's so great to see a shop that's, that with such a challenge of season, the retailer we just hung up with a little while ago, has a 12-month season of diving. It's South Florida. It's beautiful. Yeah. I actually used to teach in Table Rock Lake. I lived there when I was the only dive instructor in a two or three county area. So, I know what it's like to work in the Midwest. I know what it's like to work in those lakes and deal with that seasonality. And you've done a brilliant job. And our good friend, Rich Thomas, speaks so highly about that Ice Hole Festival. When is that? It's coming up, right?
Yeah, it's coming up at the last weekend of January into that first weekend of the first of February. So we're making the trek up, and I've got like 10 people already driving up with me. So
wow,
that's so awesome.
That'd be cool.
I know.
Well, thank you again for being on here. Our show, you've provided some great words of wisdom. Britton, who do we have on our next Marketing Minutes?
Yes. So our next guest for Marketing Minutes is going to be our very own Tech Clark. He's going to be speaking about his new college and university training program for retailers, Campus Edge. I think that's just brilliant. It's going to be a great conversation.
Sure
and tech. He's fantastic.
He's one
So
of a
we're
kind,
really,
and he's spent his entire life teaching at the university level.
yeah.
So he knows how to talk to administrators and the
Hmm.
paperwork you need and all that. So it's gonna be a great show.
Yeah.
So that's going to do it for us today. You can subscribe for free at scubadivingindustry.com. You can watch all of our podcasts, including our other series, as well as all of our back issues. So thank you again,
That's right.
Valerie, and aloha.
That's right.
Aloha. Mahalo.
Mahalo.